Hi. Excuse me. How's everybody? Wow. No one's turning on their cameras. Oh, we got one. Thank you. All right. So here we go. So we're now getting into some really, really good, juicy stuff. And just to remind us where we are in the text is we are trying to establish what a self-existent thing would be if such a thing were to exist. All right. So, if it were the case that a self existent object, a self existent thing, something coming from its own side, something that has a nature of its own, has some essence of its own, were to exist, if it's something that did happen to have all of those things, right? What would it look like, right? So we're trying to be artists right now, right? We're trying to determine what if something were to exist, what would it look like? All right. And so then we're going to be going through all the ways that it doesn't that we're trying to find a way to establish what a self-existent thing is, even if it's imaginary. We're establishing it in our imagination because we actually exist, we actually perceive the world as though it were this way. um, and so the idea is, how can we get to approximate what, how can we define it so that we can then do all the things to negate it, do all the things to deny it, you know. And in sutra, like we call that the refutation, we call it the gotcha, right? And in tantra we call it the same thing too, but it's a little bit different. The thing that we're denying, if it were to exist, so that you can get to its emptiness. And just for fun, in the other, there's various presentations in the various schools of what the gotcha is, the thing that we deny, the thing that we're defining. That if it were real, if it were something that existed, what would it be? And so Paboka Rinpoche is spending the time here to, we're going into the highest gotchas, right? We're going into the upper middle way, like the thing that we're trying to figure out what is the emptiness is empty of. But I think it's useful also for us to understand what is, like, other schools have different gotchas. Other schools have different definitions of them. So if you're attending the ACI 15 class, we were working with a different set of gotchas, different things that we thought was there that's not. And they're very, very useful because they're all stepping stones. And in the mind only school, there's two different ways you can define the gotcha, the thing that's not there. the first way, and we spend half the class talking about it, is that there isn't a separate seed. The you in the perceiver and the perceived. The you, the subject, and the thing you're perceiving, the object, are not separate from coming from the same seed. And so that gives us, a clue into emptiness. Like you in the thing that you see. What's the gotcha in that case? The thing that we're denying. The thing we deny is that they are separate seeds. Right? That you think there's something out there that's separate from you. Even if you know everything is coming from seeds. Like you think that pen, that person, that thing, whatever it is out there separate from you. And so the mind only school says, whoa, 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 no, 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 no. They're actually the same seed. You and the thing you perceive is the same seed. The seed is creating both you and then the object. It's a little bit more detailed than that. We're not going to go into all those details. But the eye consciousness, the awareness, and then the thing that you're aware of are coming from the same seed. And then the eye faculty and all those things too. But it's easy enough just to say that the perceived and the perceiver are the same seed, which has deep implications on if you have different seeds, you have different you. The you would be different, right? That's kind of cool. Right. And then another gotcha from the mind only school is that it relates specifically to constructs, in that they relate specifically to names and mental images. Like things are empty of being called the thing that they're called, right? And it's a little bit different than the other one, but they're kind of similar. Like the idea of, since Sarah got to be the example before, Sarah, like the idea Sarah is, she's empty of being called what she's called. Like she could easily be called Anastasia or Luba or I don't know, anything. You can call her anything, or maybe she doesn't have a name at all, right? She's not self-existently Sarah, because if she were self-existently Sarah, every time that she came on the Zoom call, even if she didn't have her name up, everyone would be like, oh, it's Sarah, even if you didn't know Sarah. Right. So the gotcha there is that there's no Sarah that's named Sarah, the Kuntak Sarah, that's coming from its own side, which is also very helpful as a gotcha to understand. So each of these gotchas that we're going through, which we're going to be doing the highest schools version in this text, helps us understand what it actually is being denied. What are we refuting? We think Sarah is there. Name Sarah. It's so ingrained in us that when someone tells us it's Sarah, that we think that's Sarah. That name is so attached to her that we don't think anything else. That's Sarah. That's her identity. That's who she is. Unchangeable. And you're doing this all the time. We're all doing this all the time. Like questions of identity, you know, boy, girl, gay, straight, Asian, white, right? All of these labels, right? That person is that. They are those things, right? And then we have certain reactions to those labels or those names, right? You have certain reactions to like certain kinds of labels, right? And so like that gives you can gives clues to because the label itself then brings up certain feelings or emotions, good or bad or neutral, right? You know, questions of gender and gender expression are like super hot topics. Some people are like, no, there's only two genders, man and woman. And some people are like, well, are we talking about biological sex or are we talking about expressed gender? Okay, well, what does it mean to be a woman? What are the inherent qualities of being woman? What are the inherent qualities of being man? Like, are those fixed? You know, how much pain comes from people that go towards people because they don't fit into the box? You know, like, and then the questions of like, oh, well, what is woman? What is man? Well, then you have to look a certain way. Your body has to be a certain way, right? You know, I'm not sexy enough, or I don't have these certain features, or, you know, I'm not strong enough, or like all the images, pictures you see of perfect man, perfect woman, right? You know, what about people who don't fit in that box? You know, people who are transgender, they're like their biological sex was one thing, but inside they feel like the another sex. They feel more man or they feel more woman. Or like what is it, you know, what does it even mean to feel that way or present that way? You know, these get really interesting questions. No, there's only two genders. Okay, fine. Right? Lock your mind into that. Good job. Right? You know, and then see what emotions arise around that. Like, oh, a man is supposed to behave this way. Gets into behaviors. A woman is supposed to behave this way. Oh, really? You know, then there's arguments. Oh, well, actually, we're all the same. There's no differences between genders. Okay, then there's no differences between, you know, me and Michael Jordan. I should be a famous basketball player, right? No different, right? Right? You know, so then, oh, so I'm less of a man because I can't dunk a basketball. Oh, okay. Well, that's not what defines a man to him. Oh, okay. Well, then what does? And then you start doing all this coon talking and naming, and you realize that names are just names, and names have feelings, and names have ideas, and they have attitudes that either help people, are kind to people, or hurt people, right? You know, expectations of how people should be because of the kuntak or name that you put on them. That's a man, they need to behave that way. I had someone tell me once that I'm not man enough and I need to change how I present my classes. You're not a man. I'm like, oh, great. Thanks. That's great feedback. Emily, it was during an SCIM term where emotions are high. You're struggling. You're putting all this work in. And the feedback I got from my class was that I'm not man enough. I'm like, What the kuntak do I do with that? You're not man enough. Oh, talk about trigger. Like, you know, like, and I can go through all my whiny, like, I was always small. I was always tiny. I never could gain weight. I could never build muscle, right? Blah, 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 blah. Therefore, I'm not man enough. And now I'm trying to do something I'm passionate about. And your criticism is I'm not man enough. Yeah. Like, shut up. like, like, that's your expectation of what you want me to be. Right. And yes, there are certain performative aspects. And it was actually helpful because then I got to play a little bit more with, oh, well, I could play with the kuntak that I'm presenting. So of course the next class I definitely highlighted every feminine feature that I have and did not teach like a man on purpose. Just to annoy this person because I was so freaking annoyed. Right. The class went fine. Most people liked it. Right. There's nothing to, like, but then you can play, right? Then you can play those things, right? And have fun because there is nothing that is a man about me from my own side or woman about me from my own side, right? And so it's very, very powerful. Like it's very to think that way. And then to think about how quickly and how much you're judging other people based on these kuntaks. You're just kuntaking around, right? That's all we're doing. And then we have emotions and feelings about it, good, bad, neutral. And then we're like, we're not man enough, man. I wasn't man enough because she wanted to date me. And I wasn't the man that she wanted. And I'm like, well, then I'm not the right person. We're not in alignment. I'm not the right man for you. I'm not the right person for you. You know, but you see that like that's expectation. But that's what we're doing all the time. And that's why we need to learn how to deny that. Gotcha it. We need to refute those things. And what I'm saying is it doesn't mean it doesn't function. I'm not saying that, I'm not making qualitative discussions about like how the world should or should not be, right? That's not what I'm saying. Like if you're attracted to someone who has more masculine qualities or someone who has more feminine qualities and that works with your own pranic configuration, that's what it's about. What's going to help you what's going to help you the most? What makes you feel the most comfortable? You have to reflect on it, of course, but like those qualities are not inherent in the person anyway. Duh. They're not there. But you have certain propensities and other people have certain propensities, and sometimes they align and sometimes they don't. It's great. 8 billion people on the planet, you'll find your match. Right. And it doesn't mean if you want a very masculine partner, I'm not saying that it's still a kuntak for sure. But understand it's a kuntak. That's all. And then when you play with the energies, there's lots of cool things you can do with that. Um, so I have this total complete, and I'm not doing this because I'm delaying class. I just came up with, I found this really cool quote the other day from the Sakya Pandita. And I want to see, is there anyone here who can read this in the actual Tibetan? Can Anastasia Mansurova do it?
Yeah, I'll try. Thank you.
Go slow.
Gepa. Okay.
Not Gepa. It was close.
Mapa. Mapa lobe.
Okay, no, you said gay. It's Kepa.
Yeah. Kepa.
It's ka aspirated Kepa.
Choose. Kepa lo lobe do na do.
Good.
There were
Mm-hmm.
there
They
were sorry, yes.
They were. Mm-hmm.
There were de la que mi li li
Mm-hmm.
sit. Oh, sorry, no, sit.
See. Mm-hmm.
Deva chungla chopa de
Te.
de
Mm-hmm.
chenpoi tewa tap mi si.
Nice. Good job.
Thank
Nice,
you.
nice, nice. We'll eventually get there. This was just a test of the Tibetan broadcasting system. This is what we eventually want to be able to read. Okay. But I brought it out for you guys much easier. Okay. This should be inspirational. So, Kepa means a master. All right. Basically, at the time of learning, right? At the time of learning, you must suffer. It's so straightforward. When you are learning, you must suffer. Okay. Great first line, Sakya Pandita. All right. It will be impossible, Missy, to be a master, right? When, what does de mean? Does anyone know? It can
Desire.
not desire, not in this case, no. No, desire is going to be like that, I
Like
think.
time or death.
It's more
Oh,
like
this.
it can mean like to reside, it can mean to stay, it can mean relaxation, right? So like it's impossible to be a master if you kind of relax into just like general happiness. Okay. Like if you dwell in bliss, and this has a lot of different meanings, but basically what it means is like, like if you're in the deva realm and things are always good, you're never going to become a master because you don't understand suffering, right? Also, it has another meaning that like if you reach like higher states where that are really nice, you can get stuck there. So you kind of need to get a poke on the arm and be like, hey, keep going, right? But basically, like if things are going really well, you can't become a master because you don't understand, you don't have enough renunciation. All right. Also, if you're attached, Chuck, to like small happinesses, like little blisses, like you're attached to the minor happinesses of life, right? You can't become a master, right? And so it'll be impossible to achieve actual great bliss, which is something different, great happiness, if you do those things, right? If you stay in, you know, a state of like if you don't challenge yourself and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna hang out and like drink smoothies and watch Netflix, right? And you know, party all the time or something like that. Like just enjoy everything. Now, careful, we're not saying don't enjoy things. But if you're kind of stuck in that, it's not going to be possible to be a master. If you become attached to those things as well, those smaller happinesses, like winning the lottery, right? No, you can't become a master and you won't be able to reach the greatest bliss, the greatest happiness. So, why am I saying this? It's okay to suffer. Come to lots of classes. When you have suffering, bring it on, enjoy it, right? Um, Learning Tibetan is a suffering in and of itself. It's difficult, you know. I go to I have a private tutor twice a week, and like he makes me suffer. Like he makes me sweat. Like by the end of class, I'm just like, oh my god, I can't do this, right? But he's a great teacher because he's like, just try harder. Like you'll get it, right? Very supportive. But I'm bringing this up now not just because of that, but also because we have to struggle. You can't be satisfied until you truly understand the gotcha, truly understand what is it that you're denying. Okay. You can't get lazy. You can't just be like, oh, I get it. Here are the 6 flavors of emptiness. Here's all the different things I need to deny. I can go through them 1 through 6. I can go through them. Tim can go through them. You can go through them. You can learn them. But Pabonka Rinpoche says, he says here, you have to do it in your direct experience. It's not enough just to say, look, the seed is you, the perceiver, and the perceived are the same seed. It's not enough just to say that. Is it helpful to say it? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. It's completely helpful to say that. And you should say that, right? And you should say it over and over again. And you should come to class and you should think about it and you should meditate on it, right? You should do all of those things. And you have to get to a place where then it becomes your experience. Okay. Like where you actually go, shit, okay, whoa, okay, that's the same seed, right? And you feel it in your experience. Okay. You have to practice, 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 practice. And so, there's this cool section, this where we kind of left it last time, where you could go to the debate ground, and this is such a great, you know, great line here, is that you could render mute any debaters. Wait, I'm at the wrong line. Sorry. Sorry. You could render any debater. Wait, where the heck am I? There we are. Okay. Sorry. Something's not right. There's a line that disappeared. Because it's up here. That's why. Dummy. Okay. You could render any debater speechless. All right. You could shut them up. Like I just imagine like Mike Hoffman debating Francisco. Like, bam. And Francisco just can't, he's just like destroyed, right? Can't say anything else. Perfectly logical, perfectly correct. There's nothing more to debate, right? But if you don't, and you have to do that over and over and over in your mind, like, what is the gotcha? What is it? What is it? What is it? How do we establish it? What are the wrong ways to establish it? And then when you can establish it correctly intellectually, then you got to jump to your experience. Because it's not enough just to go to the debate ground and like look all cool and destroy somebody. Although it would be fun to do that. It's satisfying. There's some kind of, and if you get satisfied in the debate ground, then you probably don't have the right motivation when you're debating anyway. Okay. But so we're in the process of deciding or determining how do we become, how do we first intellectualize the gotcha, and then how do we, so we can deny it. But what we're going to learn today, if we get there, if Tim doesn't shut up, is what are the wrong ways to do it that feel like the right way. And that's the cool part of this, is that there are ways to go about it that feel like it's the right way, but it's the wrong way. And the reason why the wrong way will lead you astray in your understanding. And we said last week, and we didn't explain how, and he explains in the next couple paragraphs. We said, if you misunderstand the gotcha itself, if you misunderstand the thing that we deny, it leads you to nihilism. It leads you to believe that nothing exists. So there's a danger to go to the other extreme. We're already off of extreme number one. What's extreme number one? Things exist. Period. Yep, just things exist, not hard, right? Extreme number one is things exist from their own side. They have an essence of their own. They have a nature of their own. They're coming from themselves, right? We've got enough evidence. It's called a pen and a chew toy. We have enough evidence to say, that we know that extreme number one is too extreme. So we need to move off of that, right? We're already off of that. But what happens is that as we're moving off of it and we're trying to understand the gotcha, then we kind of err too far to the other side. And that's a natural thing to do, from swing from one side to the other. And Pabonka says the risk of improperly identifying the thing we need to deny, the thing that if it were there, that it would be self-existent, which is not there. If we improperly establish what that is, even if it is imaginary, it can lead us to believing that nothing exists at all, that there is nothing. It's just nihilistic. So we have to keep our minds, we kind of got to keep coming back to what is that, that's partially why they call it the middle way. Like to come back into that space where it's not that things exist from their own side, but it's not that they don't exist at all. Right. And we're constantly bouncing back and forth like a ping pong ball between those two things. And it's normal to do that. And it's normal to do the wrong way to get to the right way. Hell, the Buddha had 3 turnings of the wheel. Duh. Like, but we have to be aware of the pitfalls of the wrong way that gets us stuck to be able to get to the place where we're kind of this hanging out in that sweet spot. And when you hit the sweet spot, like it's like I guess it's like when you hit the sweet spot, I mean, it's an experience. First have to have the experience, right? And when you hit it, when you touch it, then you know. Okay, here we go. We talked about that. All right. Mr. Mike Hoffman, can you read the next line, please?
Sure, thanks. Starting with Perna.
Perna, yep.
Perna kumaniniyo. Dukar hogyam tao. Jesop mapa kuma gyumi sim ashina.
Can you do this word again?
Ma?
There's a sa at the end.
Oh, may?
May, yeah.
Maypay?
Mepe. Yes, nice. Okay. So, for example, perna, which we're actually, this is actually referring to an example we had previously. We talked about this. Okay. So we have this she sok mepe. Okay. If I say to you, Kungma ni myo, all right, the thief, the kunma. Kunma is a human being, a me, all right? And he's where, and they, because it just says me, it doesn't give an indication of gender, right? So, first of all, I say to you, the thief is a human. All right, good. The thief wasn't my dog. And the thief was wearing clothing that was white. Okay. So I say to you, Anna, yo, the thief is a human who was wearing a white shirt. Go find it. Go find the thief. And you're standing in the middle of New York City. 8 million people, right? A million people hanging out in Times Square. All right. And I come up to you and I'm like, hey, here's a human wearing white clothes, a white t-shirt. That was the thief. Go apprehend the thief. Go get him. Right? Would you actually be able to identify the thief? And the answer was, we used this from before, is no. You're not going to be able to identify that person. Right? You're not going to be able to get to their essence, because just a human in a white t-shirt in the middle of New York, you're not, I mean, like lots of humans wearing white t-shirts. You know what I mean? You can't even cancel out gender at this point, right? You could cancel out all the people wearing black t-shirts or blue or green or red, but you're still going to be left with a lot of people, right? And that's kind of the idea here of, you have to have a direct experience of the gacha to be able to actually apprehend it. Like, to get that thief, we have to have more information. And that's not enough, you see. All right, next line. Laura.
Dena sanki shatpe goatang sikchi tang rachi tam minpar chapne rang gi lo gornyam nyam nyong jencher tu go sinpa go so.
Okay, couple words. So there's this word and this word and this word. Okay, this one was correct. Good. Okay. Now, this is not gore.
Good.
And I'll show you why in the, come on, Tim. Why aren't you giving me my Tibetan? There it is. Okay. Let's make that bigger so you all can see it. Oh, that's too big. Okay. All right. So this letter here is na. Okay. And then over here, because we're just, this is a ka. Okay. So this is actually a whole letter here. So it's not a gore, it has a na sound to it. And same with this one as well. So would you like to re-pronunciate those words?
I'll try.
Yes.
Yeah, it's difficult for me, this sound.
Oh, I
Good.
know.
Yeah.
Hard for me too. Yes, yes.
Good.
Nor, like I say, it's a
Good.
basically
This is an
put your
NG. It's kind of
G, right?
nasal, no?
So, so, so put your tongue, it's a French nasal. So put your tongue at the bottom of your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when you do the NG, take the back of your tongue and like push it to the back of your mouth.
Good.
Nor. Nor.
Nor. Nor.
It's a bit
Nor.
nasal. Yeah, there you go. Pretty good.
Okay.
And
Good.
then and then
Oof.
and then
And
this
then
one?
good.
Nope.
Good. No?
Or,
Good.
there's no g sound. It's just an NG, like ing.
SNG.
Yeah.
Sorry, it took me like 2 minutes in a class, so I don't
It's
want to
okay. No. I
Sometimes
mean,
it happens, sometimes not, depending on my seat.
if you're having difficulty, other people have difficulty. It's okay.
Yeah.
Difficulty. That's why I'm teaching it, because it's a hard sound for me as well.
Thank you.
So this one, try this one again.
Good.
Nope. No G sound, just NG. No.
No. No.
There you go. Good.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And
And
then
then
this one,
cool.
K. I mean, G.
Good.
It's a G.
Good.
It's a nice. You got it. Yay.
Thank you.
Everyone celebrate and be happy I didn't call on you. All right. Okay, now we got, wait a second, you just talked about that. We just read the line. Let's see, what does the line say? Got distracted here. Okay. All right, Dana, therefore. All right. If we rely upon certain activities, okay, or certain, let's see here, we have explanations. So explanations of others, okay, and we have some kind of understanding of those, koa, right? If we rely upon just those understandings, intellectual understandings, the koas, from others, or from general words, or from only like, I can't find a really good, this is like theoretical understandings, this is like sharings or people talking or something like that. I have to kind of figure out exactly what it is. But basically it means if you rely upon those kinds of intellectual ways of understanding and all of those activities, right? They're just not going to be enough. Samimpar, chene. It's not enough. It's not enough to just do all of those things. So we need we must, right? We have to learn about them in our own mind. Rangi lo nor. Okay. In our own mind, in the depths of our own mind, the thing we need to deny. And this is such a beautiful expression, through the naked authenticity of our experience. Okay. Like, we can't just intellectualize it. Like, Chencherdu means naked, nakedly, right? We must do it through our direct experience, unadulterated experience, right? Intellectualization is not enough. We have to do it in our direct experience. Intellectualization helps, of course, because that's what we're doing right now. I'm doing some blah blah. I'm doing some teaching. I'm doing some explaining. I'm explaining other people. You're hearing me. All of those blah blahs are happening, right? And you're thinking about it, and your brain's like, right? But then you have to go from intellectual to direct experience. Like, same with seeing emptiness directly, right? You can't see emptiness directly just by hearing the pen. Hearing the pen is not emptiness, excuse me. thinking about the pen is not emptiness. Is it helpful? Yes. Is it emptiness? No. It's the same with the gotcha. You have to experience it. You have to, okay, question, $100. What's the direct experience of the gotcha? Nyamung Chencherdu, the naked experience of the gotcha, the thing you have to deny. Oh, our interpreter got it in the chat. Send me your PayPal. Chuchok, right? That would be that's the ultimate direct experience of the gotcha, where you see for the first time how nothing was not coming from your seeds. You see the nakedness of it. I like this expression. You took off all of your clothes. You took off the clothes of dependence, right? You took off the clothes of self-existence, right? Now, of course, there are stages to get to that place, right? Right. But you have to be able to have these like micro realizations of things that are coming from you, and they're not out there independently. And that's where it's just over and over and over again, like pulling yourself back and forth out of the extremes, right? Anytime you're upset, you're in the extreme of it exists. Anytime you go too far analyzing the gotcha, thinking that it's, that was what emptiness is, you go to the other side, to nihilism. And so you're constantly, if you want to get out of nihilism, just go get pissed off at something. Go drive in Phoenix. And then figure out how upsetting it is, how people are awful drivers, and have someone cut you off. Or call an ex, someone you don't like. Call your parents. How about that? Hey, you want to get out of nihilism? Go call your parents and get them complaining about something that drives you nuts. I'll just, like, if I want to get out of nihilism, I'll call my parents and start talking politics. And then I'll think it's self-existent, and then I'll think it's real that I disagree with everything they say. Okay. Trick of the trade. But very rarely are we too nihilistic anyway. So just in case you get stuck. All right. Next line. Let's see who hasn't read yet. You're a translator. You're a translator. You're interpreting. You're interpreting. Eka, you've been read for a while.
Yay, thank you. Gakcha, this one?
This one, correct. Yep.
Gakcha mangena tenne.
Here we go. We're gonna.
Nena, denme drukche kirikpa, mangpo shiktang yang, tendrel shikpe chetar gyurnien yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. If gotcha mane, if we're unable to establish the gotcha, mane, right? If we fall short of establishing the object that we deny, there is great danger of falling into nihilism. It says it right here. And nihilism is cheta, okay? The view of nothingness, okay? That nothing exists, right? So if we fall short of this, if we do not, there's a great danger that we'll fall into nihilism, which will destroy shikpa. any hopes, that doesn't say any hopes, but any hopes we had in the teachings of dependence. Tendro, right? Tendro means dependence, the teachings on dependence. So if you don't properly establish the gotcha, you will fall into nihilism and destroy the teachings on dependence. Okay. And even worse, okay, young, right? What's even worse about this, right, is that we squander all of the reasonings that were used to establish selflessness. Okay. So this is really kind of depressingly harsh. Okay. So you're squandering. This is a good way of saying tongue here, which can mean give up, right? Relinquish. Okay. You send away the only thing that could help you, right? The only thing that could have helped you were these reasons, and you screwed them up. All the reasons that were used to establish selflessness, you screwed it up because you didn't properly establish the gotcha. And then you fell into nihilism. That's freaking harsh. Okay. I just have this, like, I don't know. Sometimes like this weird things happening. Like I just kind of imagine like Pabonka Rinpoche up on, in this teaching hall with 1,000 people, like big guy, like no microphone, yelling across the room and being like kind of wrathful in these moments, being like, look, you're going to screw this up. Don't screw it up. Right. But I think in another way, it's kind of a sweet thing to say, look, we are going to mess this up and we have to bring ourselves back. The process, and I would say the step on the path is to go too far so you can come back to the middle. Like it's expected you will go too far. Like, when you learn a new language, you learn a new like structure, a new way of talking or something. And then you overuse it for like 2 weeks. And then you start to integrate and be like, oh, that's actually just for a very specific meaning. It's not for everything. But, you see children do this when they learn language. You do too much, but you're just practicing, and then you get the meaning of it. And it's the same thing here. It's like we practice finding the self-existent thing that's not there anyway. I'm sorry, interpreters. You guys got to yell at me if I'm going too fast. Politely yell at me. And it's expected that we're going to go too far. It's expected you're going to overshoot because you're trying to you're trying to dissolve the self-existence. And you're going to over dissolve it to nothingness before you arrive at the kind of the middle way of it. And in the Vajrayogini-sana, it talks about dissolving all appearances into emptiness. Right? And it's a dangerous thing to say until you understand what it means. Because if you think you're dissolving things into nothingness, that nothing is there, then you miss the point. You've gone too far. But you do want to withdraw the appearances. You withdraw the seeds, like you withdraw the appearance that that you're putting out there, so you can put out a different appearance. But you're not withdrawing its existence. Okay, and it's a subtle point. But the process of learning to do that is it could go too far, and we're going to start learning how we go too far. And Emily Chen, can you read the next line?
Erna Bumpe Ta Nilo Punsu Chakna
Chuksu.
Chuksu Chakne Bumpe Chuk
Chuksu shakne.
Chupsu Shane
Hmm?
Chupsu Shane Bumpe Chuk Bunpami Bumpe Chak Bumpami Sheso Chena
Chene.
Chene.
See the little sa at the end. Okay, excellent. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to start learning what's wrong. We're going to see how far we get. So, for example, let's take in the back of our mind, lo chuksu. Okay, let's take the tane, the concept, the idea of a bumpa, a pitcher. I was going to translate this as a coffee cup, but it doesn't work with the next words. Typically, what we do in some of our translations, a bumpa, we just say coffee cup because it's an object that is more relevant than a water pitcher. You know, we don't typically have water pitchers anymore in the same way, but we need to have it in this case. So a bumpa, a water pitcher, right? Take the idea water pitcher, right? That's in the back of your mind, right? This is, by the way, the wrong way to do it, but but there's a useful step in it, and we'll explore that in a moment, or probably next week. So take the idea, the picture, the mental picture, the concept, bumpa, a picture in the back of your mind. Okay. Then you say the spout. Okay, the part of where the water comes out of the pitcher, right? And where you pour like the thing that where the water comes out. The spout of the pitcher is not the pitcher. Right? The spout of the water pitcher is not the water pitcher. Okay, we're taking apart. The part of the water pitcher, which is the spout, is not the water pitcher. Or you say that the base, the shub, which can mean feet, right? The base of the water pitcher is also not the water pitcher, right? So we're taking parts. So we're looking at something and we're looking at its parts. The spout, the handle, the base. And then you say to yourself, that's not the water pitcher. Okay? So the first process is let's take an object and let's break it into its parts. Right? Let's look at the car, the wheel, the steering wheel, the tire, the trunk, the engine. Those things individually are not the water pitcher. All right. Okay. So this is going to be an awful place for us to stop, but we'll just stop here. Okay. Let's see. Who would like to read? How about Tracy? Can you read this line?
Bumpe charere ne silwe re ne silwe tar bumpa man niepa tsam tungni tu ko ne
Nice call.
kom kuljena.
Okay. All right. So then after doing this process, breaking the water pitcher into all of its parts, bumpe charene. Okay, breaking it into all of its parts. Cha is the parts, rain ray is each and every one. Each and every part, you do this for the water pitcher, okay? And then in the end, silwetar, you're not able to find mane, the pitcher, okay? And then here's the thing. And then this word, chulche, this is a fun word. It can mean like pretend or pretense. Like you use this as the pretense for your meditation. Okay. You looked at all the parts of the water pitcher and you were like, not the water pitcher, not the water pitcher, not the water pitcher, to get to the point where Mane. You cannot find that water pitcher. All right. And then that becomes your understanding of emptiness. Okay. You canceled all the parts. You said, well, the tire is not the car. The trunk's not the car. The engine's not the car. The steering wheel, the gasoline, the seat. Cancel all the parts that aren't the car. And then you arrive at nothing. And then you take that to be emptiness. You think that's the gotcha. You think you're denying that the parts are not the car. Therefore, that's what emptiness is. Okay. It's subtle. And then you take that to be the basis upon which you meditate. All right. So I'll give you the punchline and we'll finish it later, right? It's subtle because we've talked about this many, many times. The car is not one or many, right? The parts, so you have to think about this. But the punchline is that to arrive at emptiness, you need to establish it in relationship to a indivisible object. And we call that the nam yemepe. Nam yemepa. Okay. So there's a lot to talk about here, right? We're going slow. We're taking our time. Don't worry. But think about this. So over the next couple of days, think about how that's not the thing we're denying. Think about, okay, things have parts, yes. Are those parts the car, the tire, the engine, all those things? Do those, and then you cancel all those things. And then you go, oh, I can't find the car and the parts. Therefore, that's emptiness. That's the gotcha. That's me canceling everything. I'm denying gotcha. I just denied that the parts are not the car. And what's happening is it's true that the parts are not the car, but that logic will lead you to a place where emptiness means nothing. It's nihilistic. It's nothingness. It's cheta. It's too far. And now you got to meditate on why it's too far. Is it helpful to think that way? Yes. But how does it go too far? So that's the first wrong way of doing it. So we can get to the right way. But it's helpful because the parts aren't the car. But what makes the parts the car? There is a reason why some of the cars has parts and the parts become the car and then one thing. So you gotta pull yourself back to the center. All right. Thank you all very much. Thank you for forcing me to study this. Thank you for forcing me to learn this stuff, spending hours and hours staring at these texts and studying. And it's all your fault. Thank you for being little Buddhas, forcing me to understand something that you probably all understand much better than me. So thank you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you're interested, YSI is having a beautiful event right now on the Bhagavad Gita, and Geshe-la's classes are every evening. So check it out. Go to YSI if you want to check. They're really, really good classes. And I apologize. I didn't get the schedule until yesterday, 2 days ago, rather. And I would not have scheduled my class on top of their classes so you could have attended. I will be more thoughtful in the future because I think people should be able to attend other things and not feel like they have to make a choice. So, and if you felt like you had to make a choice, I'm sorry. But next time I'll do better. So thank you all very much. Thank you, interpreters. I know it's hard. Tracy's mom, hello.
How are you? We missed you.
Oh, I miss you
That
too.
was She walks by and she goes, "Is that Tim doing class? We love you."
Love you.
Okay, thank you. Say goodbye to everybody. We'll see you all on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, team.
Thank you, Timla.
Thank you for a beautiful class.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day,
Goodbye.
everybody.
Muchísimas gracias.
Take
Gracias.
care.
Дякую.
Kitchen. Bye, everyone.
Good night or good morning, whatever time of day it is.